Hello YouTube. Don't mind the rooster in the background. This will be the upcoming project. This is a 1968 25-foot Cal sailboat. This was a Craigslist find. A gentleman up near Lake Erie wanted some help installing a new roof on his house in trade for this sailboat. So, probably 6 years ago or so, I made the deal with him. Went up to his place every weekend for almost 2 years to get this roof on his house. There was a lot of sheathing to be replaced, a lot of other extra work to do to get it on there. And they were these odd aluminum shingles that went on almost like vinyl siding. They snapped together and clipped on the corners. Real nice roof when it was done, but pretty labor intensive and so forth to get it to fit properly. But helped for 2 years to get a roof on a house and ended up with this sailboat. It's in decent shape hull-wise. The inside's pretty bad. I'll take you in to show that in a second. But hull-wise, it is solid. It's got a few little cracks here and there in the fiberglass, but nothing serious. It's going to be some work though. Right now it's sitting on this old mobile home frame trailer. It towed pretty good on this. I hauled it, it's like a 2-hour drive from where I was living to where it was at. And it hauled just fine, 60-some miles an hour down the freeway. The wooden cradle it's sitting on is all rotted out. That's why it's got these metal support rods holding it up, because I was afraid it was just going to collapse going down the road. But it tows pretty good on this, but it sits way too high to work on and way too high to try and launch. So I'm going to be looking for a regular 2-axle boat trailer to modify to sit this down on, get a little lower to the ground, and hopefully make it easier to launch. Let me climb up top and I'll show you what's going on up there. Be right back. Alright, here we are up top. If you remember a couple of my V videos, this is when this boat was mentioned before. We had the swarm trap sitting up here on the bow at one point. But the top's been pretty well stripped down. I've taken most everything off of it. It's got a nice spacious cockpit. I think it's like a 7-foot. It's one of the things these boats are kind of known for is the roomy cockpit. It does have a storage spot on each side. This side actually is designed, that little box down there, to store your outboard in. So you can take the outboard off, stick it down in here for sailing, and the outboard notch in the back there where the ladder is, there's a fiberglass like plug that drops down in there that completes the stern when you're not having the motor in. The cabin is rough. It was full of water. The keel hull was full of water. It had maybe 6 inches or so on top of the cabin sole, and it was just damp. So when I got it home, I covered it with the tarp, put a fan in here, vacuumed all the water out, got it dried out, and once it dried out, the wood just crumbled. So the only thing left in here right now is the V-berth, and it's in pretty rough shape too. I'm sure I'll have to cut it out as well. When I took it apart, I took each piece out as carefully as I could and made a plywood template of it so that someday I can put it back together. I'm not sure though, since it's a blank slate, if we're gonna put it back the way it originally was or if we're going to just make it the way we want to make it. Start here with the cabin roof. You can see the plywood's just completely rotted out on this. One nice thing about these boats too is they do not have core in the fiberglass. It is a straight flat fiberglass hull shell, and then the cabin roof has plywood epoxied to the inside, and then just this thin layer like a fiberglass decorative covering. So all you need to do, which sounds simple, is scrape all this old plywood off and cut new plywood to fit and epoxy it back to the roof. So I've got the plywood purchased. one of these days I need to get this cut out of here and scraped, pattern it, and get the new plywood epoxied in here. Just find the time, basically. But once that's done, then we can start deciding what we're going to do with the cabin in here. The original, I mean, obviously you can see the V-berth. This line here used to be where the main bulkhead was at. That'll have to stay either way, because that's what supports the weight of the mast. The 2x4 there is just holding the cabin roof up right now. That's your walkway up to the front. From the bulkhead to the V-berth here is a location for a head. It's got a porta potty that sits in there. On this side of the bulkhead where the white paint was a hanging locker with the shelf on top. The whole way down along this side was I guess a quarter berth. Back on this corner, this line here and here, there was I guess you'd call it a galley, mini galley. It had a small sink right here on the end and counter space back there. Probably going to do something with the galley again. Not sure if it'll be the same thing or not, but it wasn't a bad location for it. And then on the edge of the galley, there were two hooks, and on this side, underneath this little settee bench, there was a drawer. If you pulled that drawer out, it housed a alcohol stove, and it would clip on those two hooks, and there was a cable that came up and hung here, somewhere up here. That may be the hole for it right there, as a matter of fact. There was a little ring that a wire would hook to and support that alcohol stove. So it not only had a sink, but it had a working stove. Back to this side, you have the settee there, table here, and settee there. So, we'll see how it comes out. Cabin sole is gone. It was all rotted out. Got a stringer there, missing one there, got part of one there. So it was just in rough shape from sitting for so long. I don't think he used it for probably 10, 12 years before I got it, and I'm not sure how much he used it before that. I do know at one time the owner before him used to race this on Lake Erie. These are a notable, I guess you'd say, racing boat, the Cal 25s. There's a couple big associations. I think there's one up in maybe Michigan and one in Chesapeake Bay that they race these all the time. They're supposed to be a really fast boat. And it had probably 12, 14 sails with it. Some of them are in good shape, some of them are pretty rough. From the moisture, a lot of the brass just kind of rotted away and just corroded into powder. But the sail material itself is good shape. They just need kind of reworked. There was, I think, 2 mains, 3 or 4 different size Genoas, a regular jib, a stay sail, and a spinnaker. So it had a pretty good complement of sails to go with it. Time's going to tell on this thing. Just finding time to work on it. The one fortunate thing, it does fit in the garage door. We have a 12-foot garage door, and the length is just about right to back it in. So it's possible we could push this thing in the garage in the winter time and work on it in the winter if we get the wood burner hooked up in the garage. But that's where we're at on this. Basically a clean slate almost to start with in here, and a lot of work on the top. If you have any suggestions of what you would do, say, put it back the way it originally was, or custom design the cabin to be how you want it, let me know in the comments below. I'm never planning necessarily on racing this, so I know if you modify things, you can't race them properly. Makes it illegal to race them. So I'm not planning on racing, so changing things isn't really gonna hinder me in the future. But we'll have to see how it goes. Like I said, if you want to comment below what you would do. A couple quick notes. That hole there used to be for a knot meter. I'm just going to fiberglass that closed. And this hole over here was for a compass. Once again, I'll probably just fiberglass that closed. we'll just use this on an inland lake here in Ohio. So having a compass, really not a necessity unless I decided to race, which I think you need to use the compass bearings for your course. But just to take it out and day sail with it, and fish off of it and go swimming, what have you, maybe camp on the weekends, I really don't need a compass. So I'm not too worried about replacing that. But like I said, in the comments below, tell me what you would do. Please subscribe, thumbs up the video if you please, and we'll keep you updated on this as time goes along. Thanks for watching.